Decided to drive my grandma's car to the shop today just to make sure everything was going to be okay once she got here in the next few weeks. Stopped at Walmart to grab some water for the shop, come outside, and guess what? We have a dead battery. So what I'm having my dad do is bring me a set of jumper cables, and I just got this tool. There will be a link in the description. 10% off if you use code JunkyardDave, but we're going to try that out first before we do the jumper cables and see if it works. I think this is a very good test for that. And after I use it on this, I'm probably going to leave it in my grandma's Lexus, because for some reason, when you leave this thing in auto, the lights sometimes stay on, sometimes don't. I have tried to fix it. It's a module somewhere in the car, and by the time I go through the whole car and we replace a bunch of stuff trying to find this one module, it'll be worth more than the car's worth. So she's gonna have her newer Lexus here in, probably the next year or so. So it's not really worth her, fixing this car when she's only gonna drive it for a couple weeks. So let's wait for my dad. He should be here in the next, 10 to 15 minutes, and then we'll try this. See, this thing's mad. It just does all kinds of crazy stuff, but my dad's coming.
See if it works. I'll have to turn around for, all right. Touch them together. Do the red one first. Red one first. Take the black one off. Yeah, do the red one first. It probably has to build it up with the power it's got.
Oh, it says charging 17. Huh.
Yeah, it's probably taking what little power's left and filling up the capacitor, and then it'll give it one big zap.
I mean, we'll see if it works. So I had to do a video on this because they sent that to me. But I'll leave it in here for grandma if it works.
Well, that battery's so old.
It's only a year old.
Oh, 19, okay.
It's still under warranty, but it's the lights. So it's charging it's using the battery power to charge this capacitor up in here. So it has a little percentage thing. We're gonna, once it gets to 100%, we're gonna try to start the car. We're ready to go. It works! Holy crap, it works! Man, that's crazy. Well, now we're good to go. I can't actually believe that worked, but we're back on the road, headed to the shop, and gonna work on the charger. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm working on the charger, getting all the tranny tunnel fabricated and finally buttoned up so we can move on to the next project, which is the roof. And I'll probably actually finish blocking the passenger side as well in this video, and then we'll start getting this car ready to reprime. What I'm gonna have to do is most likely, I don't know, I may set it on the Trackhawk wheels. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I don't have a steering rack for the Trackhawk stuff, so I may just end up going and grabbing another Charger subframe, throw a bunch of stock suspension back on here since this subframe is ready for a jig, and then I could set it back on the ground, reprime the car, and just go from there. So let's get to work on the transmission tunnel. By the end of this video, I want this thing 100% sealed up. Like I said before, I'm gonna use a piece of exhaust pipe or tubing, cut it in half, and use it to cover the drive shaft, just so it's one piece of thick steel. So it's not, so if the drive shaft comes apart, I have a little bit of security. I may also put two drive shaft loops or hoops or whatever you want to call it in there. One on the back coming off the tranny, I'll have to make a bracket, and then one coming off the front. There's like a little bolt, a couple bolts right there I could use and kind of encase that, just in case the drive shaft comes apart, it gets stuck in that hoop, so it's not just, aimlessly flopping around on the end of a big stick. So let's get to work, get this drive shaft tunnel all buttoned up, and we'll be one step closer to doing the roof and getting the car painted. The transmission tunnel is now almost 100% complete, and I think it looks very, very good. So what I was planning on doing was I was going to use a bunch of the inner structure from the original Magnum, or the Magnum that I cut up, the wheel well part, and just weld it all together. And then I started thinking about it. So one issue with that is if any of this came apart, I have my legs right there and I don't want to lose my legs. So I ended up making all of this out of 16 gauge steel. And for the drive shaft, that is just a bent piece of 16 gauge. And then each of these section is bent. So there's only 2 welds coming up, and there's a weld right here for this little triangle. But the main bulk of it is single pieces of bent steel. So if it does come apart, I have a chance to stop the car. I'm most likely gonna run some drive shaft hoops. I think I could integrate one into the transmission bracket, but I really love how this came out. Also, I'm most likely gonna move the, just extend the gas pedal over just a hair. It's just a little bit in the way. So this tranny tunnel, or the drive shaft part of the tunnel. So I'm gonna get the upgraded 3-inch drive shaft. That's why that is so much larger. If I would have went with a stock drive shaft, you wouldn't even notice that thing, because by the time it gets to the gas pedal, it almost disappeared. So what I wanted was something that's going to be able to support my power goals. And once I get that, I don't want to have to modify this transmission tunnel ever again, because I'm going to bedline the interior of the car, underneath the car. I don't want to be cutting and welding and doing anything after this is all said and done. So I'm glad that we're at the stage. What I'm gonna do is finish this up tomorrow, because I need to borrow Trevor's engine hoist to pull the engine and transmission back out of the car so I could get to all the spots to cut and weld. So what I'm gonna end up doing is, on this back part, I just need to cut that piece off, and then I'm pretty much just gonna need to box this in. So I put a mark there, put a mark there, and then I'm just gonna come off like that. And then it's just gonna come pretty much straight up like that, like a little 90. But it's going to be boxed in for this little actuator. So I think that's going to work perfectly. And then I could bend all the tabs. I'm going to cut some tabs in this, bend them up, and then just plug weld all of that. Same thing goes with the front. So I did end up just plug welding everything, and I put a flange on all of those pieces of 16 gauge steel. So if the drive shaft or any of this does come apart, it has a flange and it's plug welded, and it's going to be less likely to break those plug welds and separate that than it would a bunch of pieces of metal that were just welded to each other. So out here, I also have a bunch of extra. I'm gonna cut that, bend it up, and then plug weld it. And then I'm gonna also seam seal all this once it's finished. So now I'm glad this is finished. What I'm gonna do now is actually come over here and finish up blocking the passenger side. So I pretty much blocked the whole car in a couple videos ago, but I still need to do this fender, that door, and the quarters done. So get all this finished up, because once I have this transmission tunnel done, I'm gonna reprime the car, then we can block it in 120 grit, prime it one more time, and then we get to paint it. So all the carbon fiber roof stuff's here. I just need to go and actually make the roof. So once it's primed, we're gonna do the roof. So let's get to blocking this out. Was able to get almost the whole passenger side blocked out, and it's already pretty late. It's like 9. I still have to edit this video for tomorrow, and you know, I want to get here early tomorrow. So I'm gonna finish blocking that out tomorrow, finish the tranny tunnel, pull the engine, put the factory suspension or the Charger subframe and suspension back on it so it rolls around again. And we'll be ready to coat this thing with primer, most likely over the weekend. So there are a few spots that I've been noticing. What I'm gonna end up doing is skimming a few spots and then probably spot prime that Friday, then reblock those spots out with 80 grit, and then Saturday or Sunday, I'll just hit the whole car with another coat of primer, then we can 120 it. But I'm really glad that this thing is moving forward and coming along, and it is where it is. I mean, we have the all-wheel drive subframe, or the mock-up subframe, ready to go, all welded together. And I just need to make a jig for that and make the first Charger all-wheel drive subframe, which that is coming up very, very soon. But I really want to get this thing painted, and I wanted to get all this fabrication and welding done before I got the car painted. So in the next couple episodes, you know, we're going to be getting very close to getting this car painted, and I cannot wait to see this in Frostbite Blue. I was really on the edge of changing the color after I saw that dude's render, but I already have the paint. I have the other paint as well, but I'd rather just have this Frostbite Blue. It's going to look spot on, very, very sick. So I'm going to call the video at this. If you guys like these videos, make sure to click the subscribe button, throw a thumbs up, throw a comment below. As always, see you guys next time.